All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. We're at the legendary Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello for the 2026 MotoGP Italian Grand Prix. Today, we're zeroing in purely on that explosive Saturday sprint race. We're talking the drama, the lap-by-lap breakdown, the final results, and of course the absolute rockets on two wheels that made it all happen.
Look at this number, 1.289 seconds. Now, in our everyday lives, a second is nothing, right? But in MotoGP, that is a lifetime. And 1.289 seconds was literally the razor-thin margin of victory in this insane 11-lap shootout. It's crazy because it just goes to show you how unbelievable this 2026 season has gotten. Now that the paddock is back in the European heartland, every single corner, every braking zone, it all comes down to fractions of a heartbeat.
So, Part 1, Sacred Mugello Battle, a fierce sprint showdown. Man, you could actually feel the pressure on the grid before the lights even went out. You gotta remember, this wasn't just another weekend. This was Mugello celebrating its 50th anniversary of hosting Grand Prix racing. And the grid itself? Total chaos, right up to the warm-up lap. We had Marc Marquez making this incredibly gritty return, pushing his body to the absolute limit after a broken foot and that shoulder surgery from the Le Mans crash. Plus, we had veterans stepping up. Cal Crutchlow jumped in for the injured Johan Zarco at LCR Honda, and Michel Pirro subbed for Alex Marquez over at Gresini. The whole stage was just perfectly set for an unpredictable sprint. Moving into Part 2, Sprint Race Drama, 11 laps of intensity.
So the race itself was an absolute tactical masterclass by the Aprilia boys, who are already dominating the front row from qualifying. Right off the line on lap 1, Aprilia takes charge. They are completely dictating the pace. But here's the real game changer, that mid-race surge by Raul Fernandez. Riding for the Satellite Trackhouse Racing team, he didn't just sit back and watch. No way. He executed this flawless, super aggressive strategy and actually pulled ahead of factory rider Jorge Martin. And by lap 11, Fernandez takes the checkered flag for his very first sprint win. Just an unbelievable display of nerve.
You can just feel the raw emotion here. Fernandez said after the race, "I don't really have the words to express my emotions." And honestly, who can blame him? Winning for a satellite team is a massive deal in this sport. But what you really need to take away from this is the bigger technical picture in modern MotoGP. See, Trackhouse Racing gets factory-level data sharing directly with Aprilia. That seamless integration, it gave Fernandez a massive edge. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the gap between factory and satellite teams is practically gone. If the data flows and the bikes evolve, these satellite riders are absolutely going to dominate.
Okay, Part 3, Ogura's Pursuit, a tenacious recovery.
Now let's talk about Japanese rider Ai Ogura, because his sprint was a total roller coaster. Step 1, he starts in a really tough spot, P13 on the grid after just barely missing out on a direct Q2 spot. Then, Step 2, he gets hit with severe early pace issues. The bike just wasn't clicking for him in those opening laps, and he was really struggling with his corner entries. But Step 3 is where he really shined. He just tenaciously chewed his way through a heavily congested pack, adjusted his braking markers mid-race, and picked guys off one by one to finish in a really solid P8. He actually said it himself, noting, "Pace didn't improve in the first half of the sprint, but the crucial takeaway here is his analytical mindset. He felt the early deficit, he didn't panic, he just adapted his riding style on the fly and managed to grab a crucial point-scoring finish, his third consecutive one in fact. That right there, that mental toughness and adaptability is exactly what defines a top-tier rider when the setup isn't perfect out of the gate."
Next up, Part 4, Sprint Results and Tech, the official standings. Let's look at the official top finishers. You can immediately see the absolute dominance of those Aprilia machines, locking in a stunning 1-2 finish with Fernandez and Martin. But definitely do not sleep on Fabio Di Giannantonio. The local Italian hero rounded out the podium in third on his Ducati, beautifully holding off championship leader Marco Bezzecchi. And then you've got Marc Marquez gritting his teeth for 5th place points, and our guy Ogura bagging 2 hard-fought points down in 8th. The manufacturer warfare going on here is just wild to watch.
Okay. Pause for a second and look at this number, 368.6 kilometers per hour. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 229 miles per hour. Jorge Martin didn't just ride fast today, he literally shattered the all-time MotoGP top speed record down that legendary Mugello straight. This is just a perfect illustration of the frankly terrifying engine power Aprilia has unlocked in this final year of the 1000cc regulations. Just imagine the G-force and the sheer bravery it takes to hold the throttle pinned at those speeds. Absolutely insane.
But hey, power means absolutely nothing without grip, and that brings us to the tire strategy.
Both Fernandez and Martin made the super calculated call to run the medium compound on the rear tire. That's a huge contrast to the soft tires chosen by the Ducatis chasing them. This medium tire masterclass didn't just give them the grip they needed to survive the 11-lap shootout, it also generated vital degradation and temperature data for Sunday's main race. In today's MotoGP, this kind of forward-thinking tire management is literally what separates the winners from everyone else on the track.
Finally, Part 5, Point Standings, the championship fight.
Let's run the post-sprint math. Marco Bezzecchi is still clinging to the overall lead with 154 points after finishing 4th today. But Jorge Martin, his super mature, calculated ride for second means he walks away with 9 massive points, bringing his total to 145. He has closed the championship gap down to just 9 points. Meanwhile, Di Giannantonio sits comfortably in 3rd with 130. The title fight is just tightening up beautifully as we push deeper into the season.
Which really leaves us with the ultimate question. With Aprilia smashing speed records and completely dominating the sprint on Ducati's literal home turf at Mugello, can Ducati strike back in the second half of the season? The technical arms race between these two Italian powerhouses is escalating to unprecedented levels. Every single sprint point matters right now, and Mugello just proved the balance of power is resting on a razor's edge. You'll definitely want to keep a close eye on the data sheets moving forward, because this championship is wide open. Thanks for hanging out with us on this explainer. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.